So I want to do some vlogs. I might break them up into individual topics. Not the most ideal setup for vlogging, is it? Vlog 1, family issues. Hiya there. Here's a little update on my family situation as it's going here. As you may know if you watch these vlogs on my second channel, family is ex-family. It has ceased to be ever since I got assaulted in September of 2022 and in September of this year 2023 by my brother Sam. Family did not react how I expected them to react. I expected my mum to have been anti-violence against family members this entire time, but apparently she's pro that. So due to what Sam did, well, Joe defends him because, like a little married couple, they make each other dinners and things and play video games and never go out, and they do what they do, I do what I do separately. If I tried to defend myself against Sam coming to attack me, Joe would come in and also attack me. So it would be two people attacking me, and my family who have the power, as in my parents who have the power to stop it, wouldn't stop it because they haven't stopped it and they refuse to stop it. So my situation in my house here is obviously I'm kind of living out of boxes in a way. I have all my possessions, like 98% of my possessions, let's say, all squeezed into my bedroom, and I've got an antique rim lock that I got working for the door, so I lock my door when I go in and out so my stuff can't be stolen by these proto-commies who've assaulted me. And yeah, I have to live like this, like nervous of being attacked every time I come out a corridor. Every time I think that they're getting more aggressive, I take my camera with me to act as like not a dash cam, what do you call those? The chest cams that they give some of those police people. I take that and turn it on and film where I go in case I'm assaulted again. I'll try and get evidence. I've got a list of all the events that he's done in case I have to make some sort of begrudging police file, like a criminal record against him. And so we're not a family anymore. Like, we're not functioning as any kind of family. We kind of drift through the house and keep to ourselves. I'd call it civil between me and my parents. I wouldn't call it civil between me and my brothers, because they're just aggressive and it's all tense and they want to ramp up the stress, and it doesn't make any sense, like the things that they choose to get stressed by. Obviously the reason I was assaulted was because I touched some towels that don't belong to Sam, that we're all meant to be using, so he assaulted me. The first time. The second time I wanted water to wash my hands, so I just got water the normal way and he assaulted me. So none of it makes sense. I mean, on the surface of it, it doesn't make sense. I mean, digging deeper, he just hates my dad and he hates me. By proxy of hating my dad, it's kind of about my dad smoking and my brother being prissy about it. Along from that, it's that my brother has never liked my dad. He's just carrying out a little kind of Cold War against him, essentially. The end goal being that he wants to own this house and control every aspect of this house, which he's already doing now, to be honest. Which is why I had to get the lock fitted. Things with Mum, she sides with Sam and defends violence between family members. She hasn't perpetrated any herself yet, but she openly defends that we should attack each other, but in practice it's that she defends anyone attacking me. And if the tables were turned and it was actually someone attacking Sam or someone attacking Joe or someone attacking her or I don't think she'd defend Dad being attacked. I think that would work in the way it works with me. Like, if someone attacked Dad, she'd defend the attack on Dad. If it was any of her or the boys, she'd defend the thing she should have been defending for all of us, which is no violence in the house against those people in particular. Which should be no violence in the house against any people at all, because we're meant to be a family, but we're not a family. Because we're not a family, we're not really communicating with each other, we're not doing stuff for each other. Mum tried to order me to do something a couple of weeks ago that I was doing anyway, out of kind of a routine of kind of cleaning the house sort of thing. But because I was doing something, and she knocked on my door and kind of ordered me to do this thing that I was doing anyway out of routine in my own time. Like, that's just a method of controlling me and trying to get me to do stuff when there's no family basis for me to do anything for her. There's no reason why I would want to do anything for her. Like, I'm not a conservative, so I don't believe in blood ties and stuff like that. And she's just ordering me to do something when, looking at it from a kind of objectivist point of view, which I do, as kind of an ANCAP libertarian with objectivist leanings, she was trying to force me to do something, and there's no trade there. It wasn't voluntary. I didn't consent to it. I was getting nothing in return. Quite the opposite, in fact. She defends violence directly against me, which is insane for a mother to a son. So yeah, I'm not going to do anything for her. And if I'm doing something anyway, that's out of the kindness of my heart or generosity or whatever you want to frame it as, it's none of those things really. It's just my routine, like looking after the house from my self-motivation. If she takes that from me and turns it into, no, you're actually doing this thing because I'm controlling you and you do this for me, even though I advocate violence against you and I think violence should come to you, then I'm not doing that thing. And I've stopped doing that thing since she told me that I had to do it. And it's something that I wouldn't do anyway, like if I was in my own house, because it goes against my principles. It's something you shouldn't need to do. It's enforced by people who believe in it, and it's enforced by the council and stuff like that. And after I stopped doing it, Dad also tried to get me to do it, and I showed him how to do it the first time so he knew how to do it. But then recently, after I showed him how to do it, he tried to get me to do it again. And I said, look, I'm not doing this. This is a way that my mum has tried to use to manipulate me and control me. And it's not a fair trade. She's giving nothing to me in return. She's not sorting out any of the problems in the house that would lead to us being a family again and lead to me wanting to help other household members in that way. I'm trying to get out of the house. That's why I'm trying to get work. Another thing is my dad taking away my work 3 times, which we'll talk about. I'm trying to get work. I'm trying to get a car to get work. I'm trying to get work to get a flat. I'm trying to get a flat to get away from here and get away from these people because I'm in a domestic abuse situation. And I haven't been able to function as a normal human being for because of lockdowns up to 2020. But after lockdowns ended in 2022, it became this family thing. But this was always the undercurrent under the surface anyway, bubbling away. This stress, anyway, you can look at my past vlogs, maybe it'll tell you something about the past of that situation. With my dad, another reason why I wouldn't help my dad in this way is that the reason I'm basically unemployed now is because he took away my work 3 times. I worked for the family in a town north of us as my fallback when I wasn't able to find work in other places when I tried. I always had the fallback of working, and it was always my fallback when I was job hunting, to work in my family's second shop in the town north of us until my dad decided to close it down, which meant I lost my job. Also, there was a thing in 2019 where I tried to start my own business, which was similar to my family's business, and my dad was helping me business-wise to get there, and he was helping me right up to the point where I wanted to take the risk with the money I had to start the business, and then at that point he withdrew all his help from me. He didn't give me the final steps I needed to do, like accounting, double entry bookkeeping, have this database needed to like figure out how to pay staff and stuff. He withdrew all of that from me at the last moment after so much work I put in, and I was serious about starting it. He took it out from under me in 2019, and I had to stop, so I lost a second way of getting income, like a second job I had, due to his actions. And also that's when a girl I was with at the time, who I was telling I was doing all this stuff, she saw that I couldn't start this business that I'd been telling her I was starting all this time, and she left, and I think it was due to that. So he lost me that as well. And after that I went to work in our first shop in the south town from us, for my family still, and he essentially took away that because he refused to not let me work as I'd been working in the second shop on my own. He always wanted to come in with me to work with me, and he believed that when it was a normal temperature that it was far too cold, and so he put the heating up and stuff. But he put the heating up when he was in with me, and he put the heating up to massive amounts, like 30 degrees and 40 degrees sometimes, like basically the hottest temperatures you can get outside in the UK at the height of summer. So it must have gone up to like 35 to 37 degrees C. And he wasn't doing that all the time, but he was doing it a lot of the time, and on several occasions, like when I was doing my T-vlogs last year, he had the heating up just so high it was unbearable. It was impossible to work. It was affecting me physically and mentally. I was slowing down. My mind was like, my memory and my ability to think had gone. I was wearing a t-shirt and shorts, like a short sleeve shirt, shorts, and the short sleeve shirt I drenched in cold water to put on, and even that was not enough to cool me down. And I said, look, can't you put the heaters on for you in the back room, and you mainly do work in the back room. We got this open plan back room, and I have all the heaters off in the front room, and I just switch clothes if I feel cold, which I hardly ever felt cold. He just said, no, I'm not willing to compromise. And when it happened to an extreme again, I said, I can't think, I can't work properly, I can't physically do, because I was unpacking an order delivery, I can't physically do this, and it was halfway through the day. And he said, if you don't like it, get out. And so, I had to get out, I had to leave the shop. That was essentially firing me, because I couldn't come back if he kept putting the heating on to a point where it was physically impossible for me to work. Therefore, I couldn't work in that job, and he wasn't willing to compromise in any way. Therefore, that was a third time when he cut me off from employment and income and money. So it's best, I think it's just best not to have family involved in jobs or work at all. But it's very difficult for me. It's been very difficult for me, if you know my history, in getting work outside the family. Like, people won't employ me or say yes to me at interviews. I applied in Bath over 100 places. All the places you can see on the high street in Bath, I applied at. I got like 4 interviews, got turned down for 2, they said yes to me for 3, for the other 2, but at the same time as each other. So I had to select one, and I made the wrong choice, because one of the co-workers I ended working up in that job, I worked in that job for about a month. One of the co-workers was not only extremely racist to all the customers who came in, never mind all that, because you can take that one way or the other, but he was completely aggressive against me, and he refused to help me or tell me what to do, treat me normally, or be calm with me. He was just against me every day. I couldn't work there, and I realised I'd made the wrong choice, and I should have gone with the clothing store that said yes to me rather than this corner shop. Anyway, so I'm in this position. I shouldn't involve my family in careers or getting a job, but it's very difficult for me to get a job outside the family. But that's what I'm trying now. I've been trying around Devon to get a job. I reached a point with applying where people were turning me down, and I was finding out that the reason was my availability, because I lived in a village and all the jobs were in towns. Cities are too far out from where we are, so they're in towns bigger than villages, and in order for me to travel to those towns I had to use bus routes, and in order for me to use bus routes to reach these jobs, I would not be able to work Sundays, I would not be able to work evenings. Some points I wouldn't be able to even get in earlier enough in the morning to start at the correct time in the morning shifts. And these jobs are all very finicky about the times you're meant to begin and end. They're completely inflexible. They want you to work exactly the times they say. So I talked to a friend, Max, and he said, well, why don't you get a car? Why don't you get a car? And I said, like, what I always say, which is cars are massive cash sinks. They're a lot of money to maintain and keep and everything. But I thought, you know, I've got some money in the bank that I was saving up for flats. It's a lot of money to keep a car, but I have a bunch of money. I could lose most of my money on a car, and maybe someone would say yes to me if I applied for a job, if I had that car, because I could get to the job at any availability slot they wanted. So that's where we're at now. And getting that job via that car is my route to getting a flat, to getting out of here, which is a domestic abuse situation. That's what we're doing. My brothers are currently just acting as psychotic as always, but it's reduced in stress level. They do this dumb thing in the corridors where they like pretend that they're the victims, even though I've never assaulted anyone. I've never been violent to anyone. Sam's the one who violently assaulted me twice. Joe's the one who supports him. Mum's the one who supports him. And yet Joe and Sam will skulk around the corridors, like they will time being in the corridors so that they're not in the corridors or the kitchen when I'm there. If they're in the corridors or kitchen when I'm there, because you can't avoid each other when you live in the same house. It's stupid to even try. They'll act like I'm the dangerous violent one, like they'll like hide and they'll creep around the side of corridors and duck and things, even though they're like the cowards that attacked me and assaulted me, and they're acting like I assaulted them. It's like a leftist power game sort of thing. You know, when you see the leftist activists at the protests in America, often like Antifa and BLM and that, something they'll do is they'll physically attack someone, like they'll club someone in the head with a sharp stick so their head is bleeding, and then they'll back off into the crowd and go like, he's got a gun or he's got a stick. Like they'll hit someone with they'll steal someone's like signpost pole that they're using to protest from the other side, like club them with it till they're bleeding, and then they'll throw it back to them, and then they'll go, he's got a stick, he's got a weapon. And then some people take that as, oh, what kind of weapon? Maybe he's got a gun, and no one will have seen what's happened, and they'll go like, oh, he attacked me with this pole that he's got. They'll reverse the situation. So it's a war strategy essentially. So they'll attack someone and then they'll say that they were the one who was attacked immediately after, and no one saw what happened. So they'll just take their word for it. Like there's no thinking about it or evidence, especially in a collectivist crowd, all the people gathering around on the side of the person doing this tactic, they'll immediately side with the person doing this tactic. And on a small scale, that's kind of what's going on here as well. If it was large scale, if they had the power, they'd do it like the protesters do it. But because it's on a small scale, they just do it like to who's around here. And that's kind of the reflection I see in that action or behaviour. Anyway, that's where we're at the moment with that subject. I have to kind of talk about things and vent about them, else they just kind of build up in my mind, sort of thing. Yeah, that's where that is.